Hey, Shafiur, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm really excited to learn more about your company, about ChatterWorks, and about what you guys are doing, which is pretty amazing and quite frankly, a little spooky. I've seen your product. But before we get into all of those things, let's start with your background a little bit and tell me about your work experience coming into ChatterWorks, because I know it's a really sort of a storied background. So let's start with that. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my background's been just working with startups for the past, gosh, I want to say like 10 years now. So just helping them build and scale. Usually I come in and hold the operational role, kind of a right hand to the founder. Most of the founders have been technical, so I would handle kind of everything else, whether it be kind of the finance, legal, all the sales ops systems, right, getting all the company up and running, recruiting, and so forth. So over the past 10 years, that's kind of been my thing. Part of where ChatterWorks also came from was just being able to work at a company called Connectifier. So I joined them very early stage, and helped them scale rather quickly. I mean, it was amazing to watch how quickly Connectifier scaled. We scaled from, I think like 9 people to 50 people in 12 months. Hit a six-figure multi-million run rate in about 14 months, and that LinkedIn acquisition was over 100 million in I think a little on 2 years of myself being there. Then we joined LinkedIn for a little bit to handle kind of that transition, and then eventually transitioned out. And then I helped a couple other startups get going, and I just realized over that time, all I've been doing is helping other people build their companies. And I thought it was about time that I start my own with all my experience and background and network connections and the ability to build a team and so forth. I think it was the right opportunity to come back. And I've always had a passion for the recruiting space, especially at every company, right? The first thing you think about at every company is how do I get the best team in place, right? To build the product, to launch it and scale. And I really didn't value, I guess we'll say, recruiting tools until I joined Connectify. Once I realized how passive recruiting was very critical, and then getting those phone numbers and email addresses and social links and trying to understand the individual you're reaching out to and how to engage them and get a hold of them. And then when LinkedIn acquired that, it was pretty much like an acqui-hire. They wanted the engineering team and so forth. They ended up sunsetting the product after some time. And now, I mean, you've had a lot of players come up, and they're all doing great. They're by no means everyone that's developed a product in the recruiting tech space is doing a great job. But I think they're missing the fundamental piece, which is what do you do with that data once you get it? How do you really engage that next level? And that's where I believe we're going to change the game with engagement, whether it be in recruiting or even for salespeople to use to reach out to their prospects. So that's kind of a short run of just startups. I love startups. This has always been my world, and I don't think I'll ever go to a big company again.
So I know with LinkedIn coming into the picture, there's probably a lot of restrictions on what you can tell us about Connectifier. But tell us a little bit about the product, what you actually developed, what it did, because I think it also feeds into ChatterWorks. So can you talk about any of those things? And we could play it by ear. So to the
Yeah,
extent
sure.
that you're in
So
NDA, we won't know.
Connectifier, the
Yeah.
team was great. I mean, they had an amazing engineering team. The founders are great. They knew what they were doing. They're from Google, and they came up with this way to aggregate data pretty well, very accurately, getting people's public information, which was phone numbers, email addresses, and even social profile links. They did that so well that at that time, our biggest competitors, I would say, even from what I knew then, was Intello and like TalentBin at that stage before TalentBin was acquired by Monster. Um, and I just remember a couple of customers running some tests saying that Connectivire's data was better than even the ones they were using, the tools they were using, which is why we won over several agreements and customer accounts and so forth. So they did that very well. That team was very knowledgeable, very smart. They knew how to find the data, get the best data, and make it accurate. And then the rest of the team, I mean, sales, the account management team, marketing team, everyone at that company kind of went together very well, right? They flowed very well together from the development of the product, the selling of the product, supporting of the product. Everyone had this passion for it. So I mean, I can't speak any more highly about that team. And when they joined LinkedIn, it was kind of a change, right? A lot of them want to start up. They joined this big company, and LinkedIn sunset the product, which I think it probably hurts after a while. You build something great, you get acquired for it, and then it goes away.
Right, right, right.
So that's pretty much sums up the kind of experience at Connectifier. I mean, if you think about it, it was just a short period. It was under 2 years. I was there. for the acquisition. And that first year, it was just high ramp, right? We were acquiring users quickly. I mean, it was we didn't have to do very much effort. It was a lot of word of mouth that was going out there, and people were kind of signing up for the free trial. We were converting them as time went. And it was just ramp up. It moved so fast you could hardly like almost remember exactly how you got there because it went so fast.
Right,
Uh,
right. And especially when you're putting in, 60, 80 hours a week, everything
yeah,
becomes a blur, right? When you work first
exactly.
started. So that's great. And with LinkedIn, obviously it's a much more corporate environment, larger company. So it's great that you have that sort of experience also. But now, after you left LinkedIn, what was going through your mind? What sort of led you up to ChatterWorks?
Well, I helped a couple other startups after that, and this big thing was always still recruiting. I watch how some big companies recruit still, and it's kind of the old way to me, where they apply, where you post a job, and you wait for people to apply. There's no outreach, there's no passive recruiting, there's no targeting people. It's just the good people. You assume all the good people are going to apply, and I believe that that still wasn't the way. And I like how passive recruiting works, right? And when we were recruiting, for example, for those big companies, I would still do my passive recruiting. I didn't care about waiting. I'd reach out to my network. I'd try and get introductions. I'd try and get referrals and do all that other stuff. While people are just used to, the current recruiting methodology was just, okay, here's the application to screen all the thousands of people that have applied. Um, and that's kind of, like I said, the archaic way. And that really triggered me. Like, you know what? I feel like I'm building a company for helping another company launch, and I still have this passion that I wanted to get back to. And I've always had this itch to like, want to lead my own company, be my own boss type deal. And
Right.
and that's where this kind of came by. I finally just let my passion for it take over and decided, I evaluate a lot of the tools in the space still. I saw what was still being done out there, and I still felt there was a big gap that we could solve. And now there's been some more gap in developments, right, with the way the world have changed with diversity and inclusion, right? Yeah, like the problem, people aren't solving for the real problem in D&I. They're solving for, they're reacting and need a search. They want to search for diverse candidates, but you need to solve your bias from within. So we're developing this product that I mentioned, I think, to you, Anshman, on how we eliminate
Mhm.
bias or help identify bias from within your entire hiring process too. So a lot of the world's evolved, right? From there's a ton of companies that provide contact data, which is fine, but they still don't provide you on the when, where, and how to engage properly.
Right.
And then this other side of it, where the world has changed with diversity and inclusion, no one's solving the bias relation stuff. So there's so much in that recruiting tech HR space that we could do and we can evolve with, that I felt like it was time to kind of come to light with and build my own team, build my own company, come to the space, and build what I believe will solve a lot of the issues.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, you obviously are very knowledgeable in the industry and you know what's going on. So that's great background coming into a new startup, because that's usually the number one challenge. Understanding the landscape as it is. So it seems like you had that piece down packed before you
Thanks.
started ChatterWorks. So ChatterWorks you established in January 2020. So you're relatively young, but tell me what that sort of first push was like and how, what the MVP was like.
Yeah, so I think that was probably the biggest challenge, right? I'm not a technical founder,
Right.
right? I am a very operational. I had relationships and I have a good network and people that I've worked with over time at several companies, but being a non-technical founder is what was the biggest challenge. And no matter my background experience or the team I put together, that wasn't good enough to a lot of early stage VCs. My challenge was I was focused on Orange County, right? A lot, and there's Orange County. I'm sure you guys know this is very challenging to raise money in. They're very like corporate driven, very kind of old. I mean, it's different from raising money in Orange County than it was seeing the companies that I work for raise in like the Bay Area, for example.
Hmm.
And so none of that really mattered, because I wanted to be an Orange County team. I was born and raised in Orange County. Right? I wanted to keep everything here, and I was trying to find Orange County investors. So I met with Anshuman quite some time back when this was kind of like, hey, we have this concept, we have the team, and we're actually developing this now. But it's a great concept, and here it is. But that was pre anything, right? That was pre product being deployed, pre funding, pre COVID, pre everything.
Right.
And then that's where we had some challenges, is trying to get the initial infrastructure up with no funds. So I did a small friends and family round. We got something initially developed. We did take it to. I met with Kerry Ransom, who's on our board now, an investor from Operate, along with Kyle. I met those guys Kerry probably, gosh, I want to say early 2019. Maybe mid 2019, and ran this. I got introduced to him to one of our advisors, and we hit it off pretty well. Kerry had some great ideas, made some amazing intros for us. Even prior to even becoming an investor, he was already helping us by opening up his network to us, because he believed in kind of our vision. And this was before he even started his own fund. So about, say, fast forward, say 90 days or so later. So after we first met, he started opening up the doors for me. He said, "Hey, I'm going to open up my own fund now." And that's when it was Operate. Then he introduced me to his partner Kyle, and a couple others. We all met, hit it off. And what was great is they actually believed in the concept. They believed in the team. They saw where we were going. They wanted to change the way Orange County venture funds work. Right? They want to bring back that kind of and support you too with it, right, the whole way. So they wanted to kind of reinvent OC. So we came to a deal. We accepted a seed round from them. We closed it come end of December, and then we launched officially January. And that's been amazing. And actually, most of the team, so I have several members of my team from my past, but also a lot of the leadership that's come in place to help us, guide us, has come from their network and the studios team, right? The Operate Studios team.
Okay.
So Kerry, Kyle, and their team and so forth, they've kind of helped us expand, and we're able to help launch this rather quickly. Even with COVID, we had the same development team come in place. And come October, they were instrumental in helping, because I'm just myself, right? So then they were instrumental in helping me manage and drive the user growth, which was great over the last couple of months, which is why I've been able to keep my head up, managing product, managing sales, managing everything else. It's been a fun ride, but I think those are the initial challenges, is getting people to believe, especially because this market, if you think about it, Anshuman knew it from day one, because he's a recruiter. He's in the space, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is his world, and he loved it from day one concept. If you're not in the space, it's hard for you to understand how big the market is. And if
Right.
it is, you think it's flooded, because there are a million tools in this space, but they're all doing the same thing, essentially, a form of another. And I think that's what happened was when Connectifier got acquired, so many companies came to the reign, like, hey, we could build this. And if you look at it, the people that were building those products back in 2014 and stuff, they're smart engineers, but they weren't recruiters. They didn't recruit for anything. They don't understand the full cycle process. They don't understand all of the issues. So they're creating a product based off of what they've seen in the market and what's been missed. And people have invested in that. A lot of companies have, they turned upside down, and venture funds lost their money and so forth. So that became a very challenging market.
Right.
So with us, Kerry believed in us. We went with it. We've already, in just 45 days, like I said, we were on board a little over 300 users, which is amazing. Our goal stayed 1,000 with 100 paid by the end of the year, and we look like we're on that trajectory. We've also opened up to kind of salespeople too. So not only recruiters, we realized that our data was very important for salespeople. So now we have kind of two markets. We're attacking with the same products. We really didn't have to pivot. We didn't have to create anything new. We're using the same product for both groups. So we have two markets now with one product, which is great.
That's fantastic. So yeah, before we get into where you are today, tell me about the development process, what that was like. So you came out with, the idea was to come out with an MVP by March, right? Of
Yes.
2020. So obviously a lot of things happen in the world that changed that. Tell me a little bit about how 2020 was like from beginning on in.
Yeah. Yeah, it was at first it was going great, right? January, February, we had the browser extension ready. So our MVP was the browser extension, right? To just surface all the data. When you're viewing all the profiles, the data, the phone, email, surface links, we're even developing text message functionality, so you can text message back and forth.
Nice.
All that, with that initial MVP was ready to go. We had a small group. We only wanted to give it to like 25 people, just so we can hit it hard, and we knew we were going to use it daily as their primary tool and give us a lot of feedback. But even that small group at that time, just for our initial feedback MVP, once March 1st hit, like the whole world was a different place, and all recruiting really came to a halt for us. Not for us, but for a lot of companies, right? Most
Right.
companies stopped hiring, unless you were like the Zooms or Slacks, right? Those are the companies that thrive. But a lot of companies stopped hiring. Essentially, a lot of the agencies we were working with came to a halt, right? All that good stuff. So we decided, hey, you know what? You're right. It's not a great time at all to launch a recruiting tech product. But now we already have the browser extension. Let's develop our backend out, right? Let's develop our entire search platform, which you guys saw, right? The search, the project management capabilities, candidate flow, all of that good stuff. So we spent the last 6 months developing all of that. Which was amazing. The team did great. We were able to focus on a lot of the engineering tasks at hand. We still had some recruiters that were helping us with some testing and feedback initially.
Hmm.
And then as we saw the market starting to pick up, that's when we decided, hey, this is great. Let's hurry up and fast forward, ramp up some more of this development and feature set so we can launch come October 15th. And that was our plan. And we hit it, which was great. So we were fortunate enough to close that seed round in January, which was perfect timing, and that gave us plenty of time to develop other functionality and features that we know would go along with our browser extension very well.
Right,
And
right.
that's kind of what we went heads down and focused on. So we weren't really focused on sales because there were honestly no sales to have that 6 months of
No,
recruiting.
that's so smart, and that's using the time wisely, right?
Yeah.
If you use the 2020 wisely, you probably come out with a better product, better backend, better search functionalities, and it sounds like you guys did all of those things. So now you came out with the product October 15th, and you started to sign up users. Right at this point, it's there. You just want the data, right? So you're not necessarily charging them. You're signing up users, and it sounds like you're at about 300 users right now.
Yeah, a little over 300 right now.
Awesome. That's in about 45 days. So tell me what that ramp is like. And you said the goal is to get to 1,000 in the next month. So
Yes.
that's a pretty steep ramp. Tell me how you're doing that. What's
Yeah.
the market strategy?
So what the first 300 was very time consuming. The reason why is we wanted to be very hands on. For the first, bunch of people, we wanted to do the demo, the walkthrough, and we just realized after doing 300 of these now that we don't have to touch everything.
Right.
like we need to set up. We can get more users faster if we set up this online sign up flow, set up like an intercom, for example, to do the product guided walkthroughs, right, automatically and so forth. So instead of us doing it ourselves, now that we're developing this other side of it, where we can do this automated sign up, the product walkthroughs automatically, right, when you log into your platform, it's like step one, find search here and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
So now that we're going to automate that I believe will actually help us get to that 1,000. Because right now what we're doing is this is still private. We're still technically stealth because we're not publicly in the Chrome store. We're not giving everyone access. You still have to sign up, and then we reach out to you to set up your account.
Okay.
So that's kind of this wait list we've created, which we have a lot of people on the wait list, and we're still going through it. That's why we know we're going to hit that number. Is since especially we opened up to both sides of the market, from recruiting and salespeople,
Mm.
and what we're offering is just I think it's probably the strongest market offering, aside from we're doing it free now, but when we do for the first 1,000 users, we're giving it to them at $100 a month per life for unlimited access. So there's other competitors out there, for example, that'll charge you $100 a month for
Yeah.
like 80 credits, right? So it's like you get nothing. We're giving you unlimited access.
Yeah, so let's dig into the product a little bit
Yeah,
right now, because we're touching on a lot of features, and
of
I
course.
want to make sure you understand what we're talking about. This is a Chrome extension. Ideally works with LinkedIn, but can work with some other sites also. I assume.
Yeah, it just sits on top of your browser, and it works on if you were to visit a LinkedIn profile or a Twitter or Facebook profile right now, even GitHub as well.
Okay, perfect. So what your system allows you to do is pull up all kinds of contact information for that person, their social media links, things like that. Is that
Exactly.
more or less right?
It is. It is. We just take that. We just identify what profile they're viewing. That's it. We're not scraping the page or doing anything like that. So we're not violating anyone's terms of service or even collecting data people are viewing. What we're doing is identifying who that person is you're viewing, and then surfacing any data we can match to that individual for you. If we have it, we'll surface it. If we don't, then we'll let you know we don't. It says right there we don't have it.
Okay, got it. So tell me a little bit about sort of how you're, obviously you don't have to give up any secret sauce here, but how you're getting this information, what you're surfacing, and what the sort of the end goal is of the product.
Yeah, so all the data we're surfacing is fully public information. We're just making it faster for you, right? So instead of you spending, several hours trying to find information on me, we provide it in an instant for you because we've aggregated the data. So it's just from various sources, right? I mean, there's so many things out there where people have interacted publicly on different sites or job boards and so forth. Um, resumes, all that good stuff. All this data is being compiled, and we're just matching it to an individual. So as you view, for example, if you were to view my profile on LinkedIn, you had our browser extension open. We would provide. I made my information all public, so you can have my personal phone number, my email address, all my social links. You can view and see. You can even manage myself. So you even take it a step further. Not only are we giving the contact information, you'll be able to manage your recruiting project or your opportunities. For example, if you're in sales. So for recruiting, you can say, hey, great, Shafiur looked great for this operational role I'm hiring for at XYZ company. I can add them to that project. We'll do a full link with the ATS system, so it syncs all your ATS projects back and forth, pushes all the data back and forth, all of that good stuff. Manage all your stages too. So it's like, great, I'm going to add Shafiur to this operations project. I'm going to go through, find 20 more operational candidates, add them all to that project. They'll be all dumped in a new stage, so I know how to go follow up with them in the back end when I go into the web app portion of the platform. But right now, as I'm sourcing, the browser extension is all about convenience. That's what all these extensions are for. It's so you don't have to leave the page you're on, go to another tab, go to another application. It's so you can manage everything from there. Add them to all your drip campaigns, your projects, your opportunities, see all the information, phone numbers. You can do all of your outreach. We're even developing, like I mentioned, text messaging functionality, so you can text message the person back and forth from within the platform.
Yeah.
Notes, all of that good stuff is all done. It's like a mini kind of database and CRM project management tool for your ATS or CRM and so forth within all the browser extension that links everywhere. And our goal is to enrich that data. So even if we integrate with your CRM or ATS, we'll bring in your data or push our data and enrich all your profiles too there. So you don't have to just be on. As long as you create that integration, as long as your data is there, we'll enrich your data too, and that's all included with our stuff. We're not charging anything extra for any of that.
That's awesome. So yeah, we were talking about passive versus active recruiting. This is really the point where passive recruiting, you're just collecting resumes and trying to sort through them. Active recruiting, you're actually using this tool. You can actually search for the best software engineer, for example, and then message them right on your platform, and then make that connection. So this way, even if that best software engineer isn't looking for a job, you can still start the conversation through the platform. That
exactly. So that's actually passive recruiting, right? It's the people you're actively searching for. So passive recruiting is where you're going out and like, I'm not waiting for applications to come in. I'm going to target, say, these 20 engineers that I really want to have had some sort of Google engineering experience or Facebook engineering experience, and you're going to go target these individuals. But how do you target them? You need their phones, you need their email, because they haven't applied to a job, and you need to know where they are, right? What social platforms they interact in, all that good stuff. And as long as it's public, we should be able to help you find it.
That's awesome. Perfect. And right. And you said the other use case that you discovered over 2020 is sales, which obviously makes sense. If you're at higher level or B2B sales, you want to contact those people, and basically it's the same process.
Exactly.
Okay. Awesome. So that's a great tool. Now let's talk about that ramp. Now you already have sort of a wait list, and you're signing people up. You're automating the process, to a certain extent the process. What does eventually you have to start selling, meaning charging people for this. What does that look like, and how does that ramp?
Yeah. So for all the people that are using this platform, we're able to see the use they're kind of getting out of it, right? Just like with anybody that builds a SaaS product, you're able to see what your users are doing and so forth.
Yep.
And from there, we'll start reaching out to our most active users first and let them know, hey, you've been on this for several weeks now. We like to talk about getting you converted. We've given you a ton of data, right? We can see how much data we've provided, all that good stuff, and it's all been free. And it's part of our feedback check-in process, right? So we get the feedback, we check in with them, we let them know, hey, the trial, we're getting ready to start converting. This was never, and they all know this isn't a permanent access for free for life. It was,
Right.
as long as you're giving us feedback, we're giving you access up to a certain point when we go full launch. So the goal with this initial group, for example, is to let them know that these first 1,000 users, that they'll get it, they'll lock it in for life, $100 a month per life for unlimited access. Even our social intelligence and engagement of the when, where, and how to engage on which platform, and the automated sequencing for that, that'll all be included at this price. When we launch the engagement, the social insights, all that intelligence stuff in January, our price point is going to go up quite a bit, actually. So it's going to be $300 a month per seat at that stage. Right now, it's only $100 a month per seat for the early users.
So let's make sure people understand the pricing also. Your competitors, a lot of the other folks are doing, per credit. By credit, they mean one either one information for one.
Yeah, it could be just a phone or an email, right? We're
Okay.
giving our technically, if we were to do credits, ours is a whole profile. Like you unlock one
Right.
person, gives you all the data. The other competitors are doing like, okay, here's the phone number, that's one credit. Here's an email, here's another credit. And I think that whole pay-per-click thing is like the feedback we've been getting. We originally set it up to protect against what do you call them? Data miners, essentially, people setting up free accounts. So we originally set that up to block and limit how many people can access. But once we realized we set the business domains up where you can only have a work email and sign up, that eliminated quite a bit of that because now we can verify their legitimate company, their purpose, all that good stuff.
Right.
So we eliminated that. So we're like, oh, great, let's just give unlimited access because people want data. They're getting sick of this pay-per-click, and we don't want them to be afraid to view contact information.
Right.
We want them to get the best experience out of the tool so we get the most feedback for it.
Right.
So that's kind of how we did it. And like you said, so a lot of them are pay-per-click, but also some of the other competitors that are really focused on recruiting tech and not just contact information, they have this kind of premium price point where at the minimum I've seen is $300 a month per seat, all the way up to $800 to $900 a month per seat for access.
Okay.
And I've seen it at certain companies, and I can't say this now but I can tell you we've witnessed it live and in feedback from a lot of customers that they were given different price points for the same product for the same amount of people, but just with two different sales reps. So
Wow.
they're not even transparent with their pricing. We're
Right.
100% transparent. What you see is what you get with us.
Right. 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 Yeah, that's incredible. But yeah, so I think your point at the entry and at this level, when you're just getting started, $100 unlimited is pretty attractive to most of your. Have you spoken to any of your users yet? You have about 300 users. Have you had this conversation with any of them? And
So all of them know the price when they get their account set up, because that's one of the things we mentioned during our demos and conversations, that hey, this is a demo period. We just want feedback right now, so we're not charging you, but just so you know, we let them know the promo. It's like, hey, this is it. We're launching, and because you're one of our first 1,000 customers, if you actually do sign up in this period, you will get the $100 a month per seat locked in for life.
right.
And the great part is we also let our guys know that because they're our stakeholder, right, our champion across any company they go to, that price will follow them if that company doesn't have
Oh
it.
wow. Okay.
So we're given kind of our first 1,000 users as our champions in a sense. And if they
Yeah.
go to a different company and they feel that company needs that tool and they want to buy Chatter, we'll honor that pricing for our contact that
Wow.
goes
That's
to that
awesome.
company.
Yeah, I can imagine that being a pretty significant draw once you start charging, 300, you said, right? At some
Exactly.
point here.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting that they can lock in that price for, lifetime, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell me what 2021 looks like, and what growth you're expecting, what growth you're targeting.
Yeah. So it's actually quite a bit now that we've 2020 has opened up our eyes to different markets with the sales users as well. Our goal is actually to hit 10,000 freemium users by 2021, with 5,000 paid accounts.
Okay.
So that and yeah, that takes us to about I'd say our goal is to hit like a 9 to 10 million run rate by the end of the year,
Okay.
based off of some of these things. And the reason we feel confident about that is, again, our price point, our data, our structure. We've already been tested across several platforms and potential competitors, and with our price point and the amount of data we provide, it already blows kind of that concept out of the water for a lot of these places. And once we launch our true intelligence suite, right? So we're just talking about data now. This is but once we launch that intelligence, where it tells you the when, where, and how to engage, the automated sequencing for the messaging on which social platform, the clone matching, candidate matching, the ranking, all of that intelligence is being deployed in 2021. That's going to take kind of our product offering even further for the price point that we're offering it. And we're not changing the price point. We're going to leave it the same for 2021, so we can still drive that initial thing. And we're very confident in the product we're launching. If you look at the market space and the social intelligence side, the engagement side, and even when we launch our diversity inclusion bias indicator stuff, none of that exists right now, and which is great. And this is like what we believe is truly game changing. If you talk to all the people we have on board, and I've shown you guys the product and where we're going with all of this stuff, it doesn't exist today. And when we deploy it, we'll be the first to market with really industry changing products.
Fantastic. No, this is great stuff. Um, w- so right now you already have a wait list. You already have sort of you're building off of your relationships. What's sort of the marketing strategy to get those 10,000 folks in next year? How are you targeting those?
Yeah, so we still have actually a very large network with the recruiting world, right? We have several people that we're connected with that run Facebook groups of 10,000 users for recruiting, LinkedIn groups of hundreds of thousands of users in the recruiting
Wow.
space.
Okay.
So we haven't even started that part of our outreach yet of having our stakeholders that are advisors that actually are part of all these groups and run these groups and so forth help promote us yet. We're just doing this kind of, we wanted to take it slow so we can build the team, get some funds in, because I know once we launch and we go crazy with all this stuff, we need to have a team in place to manage all this. Otherwise, you're going to fail as quick as you go, right?
Yep.
So I want to take it just a little bit slower so we can manage it before we go kind of crazy with our launch plans and all the marketing schemes and going all these groups and influencers that we know and so forth to help us out.
Right. Make sure all those automation pieces are in
Exactly,
place.
exactly, because that's key, right? Having all that stuff in place. Otherwise, it's just going to be a disaster.
Yep, exactly, exactly. No, this is fantastic. So right now, you are fundraising, but you really aren't doing anything too active. So tell me about what this process, the fundraising process, looks like for you. You already closed one round in January. What's the plan now, and what's the plan for the future?
Yeah, so there was a couple different plans actually, and that's what we're trying to figure out. I think the general consensus is we're already getting our usage growing quickly, so why not wait a little longer to where you can get at least 100 to 200 paid users on board with
Yep.
over 1,000 free users in place, and then we can use it as, because think about it, if that happens, that's only in 60 days, right? We've got those kind of traction numbers, and you could only forecast what that's going to look like. It's going to look really great for 2021 if we stick on trend with that. So we're thinking we can wait potentially, but there's also this debate of why not maybe just raise, for example, for us, just maybe a 500K note round, hire a couple more team members now so we can accelerate some of the development, and then
Hmm.
we'll be even further along by the time we go for our true A round, which is kind of what we're trying to figure out and strategize right now, the best opportunity, the best option to do that with. Do we just wait all together, or do we get this 500K note so we can bring on a couple more engineers that we want so we can accelerate some of the product stuff, and bring on a couple more salespeople because we need the sales support, especially with onboarding this many accounts and trying to convert them all in the next like 90 days or so. So that's kind of the strategy, is we're trying to figure out, do we do the small note, or do we try and wait it off till we can get all the traction. But I think the debate is, well, how long will it take to, like, can just like two people handle all this traction, which is probably not. Most likely there's no way we can handle 1,000, onboarding 1,000 users and trying to convert them all. So we may just go for that 500K note round, and just buy another. I mean, that a 500K, we have such a low burn rate. I'm going to buy us over 6 months, right? So it'll be more than enough time, in addition to what we already have. So it'll be more than enough time to get all the traction we need
Got it.
to go to the next level.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you have capital right now, and will the financial side is already in the database. So if someone is curious, they can certainly come and look at that. But you have capital now. You can raise a little bit of money, but if you can ramp up the sales, then that cash flow can actually add to your capital base.
Exactly,
That's the
exactly.
idea, right?
Yeah,
That you
that's
want
the
to.
idea. Yeah. Yeah, so that's why there was this strategy to just why not do the 500K and to use your sales to offset the rest, and then
Yeah,
buy a lot more time to that next round. Maybe not even 2021. We push off the next round to really the end of 2021, right, or whatever it
exactly,
is. Yeah.
exactly. No, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this call, and I really appreciate it. I appreciated learning about your story and about how you're growing this company. Any parting thoughts for us? Messages to the investors?
No, this is great. Like I said, for us, we're about change. There's so many products out there that if you look at it, it does the same thing over and over and over, and there's a lot of tools doing it. Uh, but how do you really innovate on that? And that's what I believe we've found the secret sauce to, is on the innovation on the engagement side with social intelligence, the when, where, and how to engage, and also the bias indicator. The world's changing heavily on the diversity and inclusion initiatives, and people are doing it 100% wrong. If you sit me in a room, I can guarantee you that people want our bias indicator over what else they're doing, because we can analyze their entire hiring process and tell you where they're missing, where they potentially are offering bias, and anonymize it too, so you can help solve the problems internally before you go solve it externally with search.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, best of luck to you. And it sounds like an amazing mission that we all should be rooting for. So I'm
Appreciate it.
excited, and hopefully I can be part of the journey. And we'll continue the conversation and see where you guys go.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.